Okay, one last thing I have to ask everyone here in this call. Okay, we're gonna do what you call the Zoom reveal.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Don't tell
Everyone's gonna stand up. Everyone's gonna stand up.
I can't.
Lakers. Kobe.
That's the way, man. That's the way.
Basketball shorts.
Mine has ducks.
Pants are always optional.
I thought John Joe had a thong, pare. I know this guy has thongs.
I've been watching a lot of
I
basketball.
missed it, pare. One of those nights where he's not wearing his thong, pare. Anyway. Okay, let's start. So maybe you, John Joe, you can start the show.
All right. Hey, guys. Welcome to episode 3 of Crows Talks. My name is John Joe Joseph. I am head of marketing and sales for Crows. And with me is Mr. Josemari Cuervo.
Hey, hi, guys. Here we are again. And we've got these really, really VIP guests with us now. We got Miguel Vecin and Tinchu Gonzalez of Pintxos. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Hello. How are you?
Everyone.
So, wow, this is going to be, hey, anytime, man. This is going to be fun. Like I said, this is going to be a hangout. We're just going to want to know more about you guys. I mean, everybody knows Pintxos, right? Everybody knows Tierra. But do they really know Miguel and Tinchu? Well, maybe after tonight, God knows what we're going to get out of them, right? Okay, so let's begin. Let's talk about, Miguel, let's talk about the whole journey. Let's rewind, right? This whole thing started with Tierra, right? I mean, this was Tierra. I mean, after doing a corporate job for how many years was that? You were traveling a lot.
10 years. Well, more than 10 years. About 10 years, yeah.
10 years. And give us a little brief. What did you do exactly?
So basically, well, we set up Tierra about 12, 14 years ago. So that was running parallel to when I was working in the corporate world for several companies, not just one. And Tierra was being managed at a certain point by Tinchu, my partner, no? And I had a stint of about 10 years of traveling, working corporate for a company, and I was traveling a lot. And I was getting tired of all the traveling and all, and you know, staying away from the family and everything. So I decided to just really pursue my dream. But my dream was not to open a restaurant. It was somewhere there, but it wasn't like my top priority. It was really to focus on Tierra and really grow the business with Tinchu. And circumstances that happened, and maybe Tinchu can explain it also. We ended up opening.
Wait, when you were doing Tierra, so basically you were bringing in Spanish meats, right?
Yeah, well, the story of Tierra, I can do a quick recap, is when I got married, 19 years ago.
You forgot.
19. 19
you
years
make
ago.
Sure,
my anniversary was just like a month ago. No?
Okay.
So when I got married, I asked my mom and my friends who came for the wedding from Spain to bring me a ton of chorizos and hams and everything for the wedding, which was in Calatagan. And they brought so much because there were so many people who came that we had so much excess of the food. So the caterer, Raton del Gallego of Las Paellas, said, "What do I do with this?" And I said, "Look, just sell it in your restaurant and you can have it." So I gave it to him, and he sold it. It sold so quick. Then he gave me a call and said, "Hey, this thing's really selling. So why don't can you supply me more?" So I would find ways to bring it in, through people traveling. I would meet them in the airport, pick up the stuff, slice it in the house, and that's how Tierra started.
In other words, you were smuggling for a long time.
I was smuggling for a long time.
Meat.
I would, yeah, my mom would have passengers leaving Spain, and I would meet them in the airport with 10 kilos of chorizos, and then I would bring it home.
That's the way, pal. That's the way.
Yeah, so that's how it started, and then it just grew and grew and grew to what it is now. No?
And back then, I mean, we didn't have all the good hamon and good chorizos
No,
and all of that, right?
there was nothing of that. That's why maybe Las Paellas during that time was one of the first ones to really bring in chorizo that was really made in Spain and not the one that they were eating here, which was made in Texas and stuff like that. No?
So wow, after how many years in the corporate world, then you decide to be an entrepreneur, and so how did it? Okay, so you've got now Tierra, and you said, okay, I got to make a business out of this. So you have Tinchu there. How did the whole thing work?
Okay.
Tinchu was running the. Oh, okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go. Don't worry, man. Free. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll just introduce Tinchu. So
yes.
Tinchu was running Tierra while I was working for another company.
Right.
And he was the one really managing. He's been managing Tierra for I don't know how many years. Anyway, Tinchu can explain more. So
Yeah.
go ahead, Tinch.
Go ahead, Tinch.
So what happened was I was working with my cousin during the time, which was also the same company that it's different companies but one group. Miguel was working with him also. So I was introduced to Miguel by my cousin.
No, this is LBC, Santi Araneta. Yes. We can mention their name, no problem.
Yeah. So I was working I was using the office of LBC because Santi wanted me close with him. But I was actually working for his other companies like Rudy Project and so on and so forth. Hence, I met Miguel during this time. And the guys, they ended up just saying that, hey, look, why don't we just open this company, expand what Miguel has done, and make it like really legal, I mean, professional.
Right.
Okay. So, and during the time, they didn't have anybody to manage the company. So Miguel suggested for me to come in and do the job. So the company is around 13 years old, close to 13 years old.
Wow, that fast, huh?
Yeah, it started off.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's grabe. It started off with just myself. One helper and myself in a small place that which Miguel rented during the time. Actually, it's very close to where we live right now of Miguel. It's near Pintxos, Alabang. It was just a small room, and then during the time. We really had we didn't have a really big market for it. People are just getting to know how to drink wine during the time, and the Spanish delicacy was a hard market to really capture to sell.
Yeah.
So there were limited actually customers. But on the line of doing this, Miguel and I decided to talk and go. So we go, why don't we just during the time we saw parang, the chorizos here are actually, it's either imported or local.
Right.
And sorry to say, the local really tasted like nothing close to what.
More like the Chinese chorizo type, right?
So,
it was not really, yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted actually to have our own market in terms of a product. So I asked Miguel, I said, Mix, by any chance, do they actually sell powders in the US? And Miguel goes, of course, in Spain. And Miguel goes, you could buy anything there, from Butifara powders, from chorizo powders. So the
manufacturing.
Powders, finally we brought the powders, and it took Miguel to formulate the right ingredients.
The recipe,
Right ingredients and recipe. And it took us close to around 300 kilos and 6 months of R&D.
Oh my God, dude, that's crazy, man.
But when the product came to the market, that's where actually Tierra just move forward. We were able to put our products in the shelves of groceries. A lot of chefs, they had more use of this product, which is chorizo Bilbao.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I want to ask, right?
Yeah.
All the Pinoys, everyone knows chorizo as Bilbao. But what the hell is Bilbao got to do with chorizo? Can someone please explain once and for all what chorizo Bilbao really is?
I don't know. I honestly, I really don't know. I don't think there's a chorizo de Bilbao in Spain. Chorizo in Spain is just chorizo, right? But some dude here in the 50s probably came from Bilbao.
Who is it? Maybe Alba. Was it Alba's?
Maybe
is it Alba's fault? Chorizo de Bilbao, eh? Esto.
And then and then it just got stuck with Bilbao, and it's
Yeah.
been like that ever since. No, but
Yeah.
of course, so we also name our chorizo Bilbao.
Because
Because
everybody knows
everybody
it.
knows.
It was
Yeah.
originally called La Reina. It was
Yes.
originally called the Reina. This was where we um, broke free from having identify as like just for imported products. So
Right.
this is where we just really said. Then we didn't stop there. Then Miguel goes, "But there's so many different stuff we could do." Then the manufacturing became bigger. Then we started introducing other local stuff like chistoras, butifara, chori burgers,
Yeah,
chorizo
man.
hupad. And
Sarap,
the
dude.
clients just started to increase from household to industrial to groceries. Then, as of today, we're very proud to say that we were able to top Max Fried Chicken.
Imagine that.
Recently closed Starbucks. We're supplying all the
Awesome.
chorizo
Awesome.
Starbucks. But along the way,
Well, we were supplying them.
Yeah.
yeah,
So how old is Tierra now? Tierra is 13 years old?
turning
13
13.
years, yeah.
Yes.
13 years. So it was a long time before you finally decided, okay, we got to open a restaurant, right?
It happened when it was really just an accident for when it happened. I mean, Miguel and I, we were in exactly the same location where Bar Pintxos is located right now, the restaurant itself. We were there having coffee. We came from a lunch discussing how to move forward with Tierra. What further plans to diversify the company to do better and to improve, no? Then
Right.
the owner of the building actually knew Miguel, and Miguel could continue the story from then on because they knew each other. The conversation was between Miguel and
Yeah,
Margaret.
Migs, how did this happen?
Yeah, so the owner was a co-parent in Woodrose. Her daughter was in Woodrose. So we were gonna rent a small office in that building for Tinchu and myself, so we can just be a bit private, have some privacy, So we're gonna rent like a 20 square meter office. And she kind of interviewed us and said, "What are you guys doing? I always talk to all my tenants. I want to know what their business is." Said, "Oh, we import and we manufacture Spanish chorizos." And then she was telling me, maybe you guys can do something with my coffee shop. That's where we were meeting her, I can't remember the name now, but anyway. Because
Maggie.
maybe you can Maggie's Cafes. Maybe you can supply me and I'll convert this to a wine bar because the coffee shop doesn't really seem to be working. Then I said, wine bar in Alabang is not gonna work. People at that time, this is 5 years ago, people were not drinking the way they're drinking now, right? So then she said, "Why don't you guys let's do something, you guys?" And then that's how the concept Pintxos was born. Because why don't you guys let's partner and let's just fix this up a bit and let's do something here. No?
I mean, when you
So
look
that's how
at
it
it,
started.
I mean, when you look at it, Migs, weren't you worried? I mean, it was stuck hidden in the back of the building, no signages. I mean, for you to take that leap of faith, right, and say, "I'm gonna open with my landlord as a partner and do a restaurant thing." I mean, how did that happen? I mean, what pushed you?
Well, we were worried obviously because neither Tinch or myself really had a lot of money.
Yeah.
But of course our landlord was our partner, so we had a good deal with the rent. It was not free rent. We were paying rent. And we didn't really have to spend much to open up the place. It was just minor renovation on the existing coffee shop. So it was not really a mega huge investment. So we said, look, as long as we don't lose money and we don't have to make abono every month, we're okay. I think we'll survive, di ba? So that's how it started.
And then word of
That's
mouth.
how we said,
Yeah.
that's how we said, let's just do it because I think we kind of weighed our risk and we said, can't be that bad, If after 2 months we're not, we just close the place down and it's right. We didn't really spend a lot of it.
John Joe, do you remember your first time in Bar Pintxos? Because this guy's a freaking fan, man. He's there all the time. He complains to me. He complains to me when he gets his sweldo, ubos na daw when he comes out of Bar Pintxos, pare. Ubos na.
John Joe, you realize I collect hats, no? I want one of those.
One of the first hats.
Yes.
I made this hat myself.
I want one of those. Anyway, the funny story.
Tinch, you want one of these?
Nice. Where did you get that, naman?
See? You don't even know.
It's just a funny story.
My cooking hat.
Yeah, it's a funny
Right,
story how. No, we really give thanks. No, Miguel and I really give thanks to Koi during the time. She really believed in us. She really saw something special. I mean, I don't know if maybe she saw something special. All what I knew is Miguel can cook
Mhm.
and maybe I'll sell.
And
We
you
had
did,
no
and you sold into. You were
we
on
had
the
no we had no
floor.
experience,
You
but I
were
mean none of
talking
us
to
had
any. You were talking to any stranger there and giving the whole lowdown on the menu. I mean, dude, that's not easy, but
we
it's
had
not easy.
it's actually it's not like I had a choice. I mean, we Miguel was in the kitchen. I mean, we started off with, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 7, 8 tables. The bar was a magazine stand that we just converted into a whatever it is right now. It stayed the same, no? Then Miguel made a couple of pinchos, and all it took was one post by one of the friends of Miguel, and all hell just broke loose. But the
Wow.
but during the time, we were just like giving thanks. Na parang honestly, kami ni Miguel, we were like saying 20,000 pesos a day should be okay. I mean, that will keep us alive and see where this goes, right? But if the food spoke,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? The food
Yeah.
spoke. And when
Yeah.
when food speak, but people are just gonna
Come over and talk about it.
tell
Yeah.
us. They didn't.
So,
I mean, obviously
John
they
Joe,
didn't care.
I wanted to
Sorry,
find
but
out, John Joe. So, how was your first experience in Bar Pintxos?
Well, because I lived all the way in QC, so when I moved back to Alabang, that's one of the first places my sister took me to. And
Yeah.
she was
Okay.
like, "Oh, you keep eating that garbage where I was living." And then after it's like, "We'll take you out to dinner." And then they took me out to Pintxos. And ever since then, voila, it's like weekly I'm there.
yeah,
And okay,
Sometimes
well,
twice in
maybe
a week.
here's the thing, right? Because Crows and Pinchos, we grew together, right?
yes, yes.
And I have to talk about this funny story, right? So here's Miguel who said, okay, the craft beer scene is growing, and Pinchos is ready for its own home brew, right? The Pinchos Pale Ale. Now, Miguel,
With this,
you
with
have to
this
talk to everyone about how that beer was developed.
that the taste.
No,
What was that you put? Was that what did you ask him to put?
no.
Things?
The
Dude, he
story here
goes,
is
he's a chef, so he knows his ingredients in the kitchen, right? He goes, puta na Mari, can you brew something with oregano, pare?
Yes,
That's
Oregano.
exactly. That first batch. Hon, oh my God. So,
Dude,
no.
that's the
I'm
story.
like,
Anyway,
That's the
this
I
is
story.
go,
the
Miguel, are you sure? Okay, Miguel, take it over, pare. I gotta hear
this is
this, dude. I
quick
gotta
story
hear this
lang.
shit,
So
pare.
the 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 craft scene was emerging, and we wanted
Boom.
to ride that craft wave, no? So we had the gyms from Global Beer, the beers from Global Beer and all that, and we wanted to have our own. And I wanted a craft beer that was not so bitter, like something more sessionish, but something you could eat with the food, right? So we thought of oregano, and I remember Mari delivered. It was our anniversary. It was our opening party, and he delivered. I don't know, like 3 days before, like 5 cases, and they all tasted like oregano, and we couldn't use them.
No, but hey,
So,
tell what did you do with it? You
We
worked
used it
with
as
it.
a
well,
back for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry.
yeah, we were using it for cooking. So we would use it as a
Mm.
batter. We would put it in the sauce, in the paella,
Brilliant.
since it had a nice oregano taste, and you were able to make that second batch in time for that party. I remember.
Exactly. Dude, that was stressful, man. I was trying to figure out, this is oregano is not in the list of hops, right? I'm like, what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
hell?
yeah.
Put the bahala na. Puch, it smelled so strong, the oregano. It's like,
Yeah,
oh
but
my God.
it was perfect for cooking. So we finished all that stock. It took us like 6 months to finish all those beers, but we would
But
use
it
it for
worked.
cooking.
That's
Worked,
brilliant, man.
yeah.
That's a
Hey,
good story. I'll never forget
I
that.
have another story for Cruz.
Go.
This was my birthday, and I invited Miguel, Dino Manyosa, and some of the guys, like you,
Yeah.
to Appenzeller. I don't know if you remember this story,
Yeah.
Miguel.
Oh, shit.
Hey,
Yes.
so Pintxos was not even born yet,
Mm.
and Mario was already brewing certain types of beers. So apparently it's my birthday, and we were all in Appenzeller, and Mario walks in with one of maybe the first or second batch of Crow's beer. And he had like 6 bottles, and he goes, Bud, for your birthday, I'm dropping you one. The rest, well, let people try. I said, sure, whatever. Dude, I blacked out for 10 minutes.
Which was
I
this?
alcohol was,
For
it was
10
Hindi
crazy,
sanay,
man.
hindi sanay.
Which beer was
Ay,
this?
just
sanay.
go
No, I was
quickly.
still developing the puta
Yeah,
madre.
it was
Yeah,
another.
yeah.
But it
I
just went
remember that
crazy.
night.
Yeah.
And Christina was like even saying, what's wrong with you? You could drink a lot of beer. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell is inside that beer. There's
It was-
something wrong with that beer.
Dude, it was really strong. I'll never forget that. That
Oh,
was
God.
crazy, man. That
But
was crazy.
Another story. There was an American guy. I don't know if you remember this. An
Oh,
American
the big
guy
one,
in
the big
Atencena
guy.
that
Yeah,
night,
yeah, yeah.
and he tried your beer. He tried your beer. Said, "Fucking hey, this is really good." And he was talking to you all the time. You know, I don't know.
He didn't stop.
He was he didn't
Yeah.
stop. He wanted to order a keg for his house. I don't know what he wanted.
What that
That's
crazy,
correct,
man.
that's correct. But you know, it's the beauty about the Crow's beers because I think if I'm not mistaken, I think we're the only bar that you made our specific beer for us, no? The
Yes,
Pintxos.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, I'm very proud of that because even in Cebu, when we opened the branch there, we specifically said you have to carry the Crow's Pale Ale because when people walks in, when Miguel requested for something, how do you mention it?
Session pale ale or
Session
session ale. Yeah.
Yes, and the thing is with the Pintxos Pale Ale, women love it. It's not a beer that men will just enjoy. Everybody enjoys the Pintxos Pale Ale,
Correct.
and
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody so far for the past. Alabang is turning, I think, almost five by next year.
My
And
God,
even the other
time
branches.
flies, man. Time
I mean,
flies.
no one has ever said anything bad about the Crow's Pale.
But let me get to this. Right now, you guys have another beverage. Miguel, talk to us about that thing I saw recently online.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
So anyway, so this was born because of what we're all going through now, this COVID-19, and we're trying. It's a bit of a struggle because there are days that we're really down. I'm frustrated, and Tinchu knows this. I call him and I'm depressed because we don't. And then there are days that you just say you gotta do what you gotta do to survive and ride this thing on. No?
Correct.
So we started selling food, takeouts, and all that. And then I thought we could bottle the sangria. Our sangria is our bestseller in Pintxos, number one bestseller. No? It's like a family recipe of mine, not really super secret, but it's my family's recipe. And we never sold it. People were always telling us, "Why don't you sell a pitcher?" I said, "No, just buy the glass." And we don't do
Right.
pitchers, so we never wanted to sell in pitchers. So now that we have to change with the times and everything, we decided to bottle the sangria. This is just done in my house and in one of our branches temporarily, but later on I guess we'll move on. So this is it. This is the bottle.
Close to the camera. Let's see that. Oh, nice label, huh? Look at that. Bar
Yeah.
Pintxos Sangria.
And then it has instructions here, right?
So when you
basically what
order
we
the
do-
bottle, what do? You buy
No,
your fruits.
basically this is the wine we use for the sangria. So we have to
Okay.
open it, pour
Right.
it, we put the fruits in, we macerate overnight, and then what I do is I strain the wine back into the bottle, we seal it. This is just now, right? Later on we might talk about something how we can do this a bit more professionally. And then the fruits are separated and they're placed in like a Tupperware, like a takeout container. So you get this bottle, you pour in the glass, you put the fruits you want, you put
Boom.
ice, and then you can put
Simple.
soda water or Sprite, which is
Simple.
what we normally use. No? So this was launched about maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's selling really well. People
I'm
are-
sure you're selling out, and that's perfect for summer with the heat. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's it, man. Boom, right?
And
You just
people
go for
are
that.
cooped up in their houses. They order food from us, or they want
Yeah.
sangria. So yeah, so
Exactly.
this is doing well. So we might consider developing this.
Oh, you should. Absolutely, you should. I think that's a way forward. So, okay, let me ask you, what's the difference? I always wondered, what's the difference between a pincho and a tapa? I mean, a lot of people don't know this. What's the difference?
Well, basically, it's the same. If you ask any Spaniard, he'll tell you pinchos and tapas are the same. Certain regions of Spain call them tapas, and certain regions, more like on the north, will call them pinchos. but it's the same thing. It's just a small plate of food.
And then there's another one, Montedito. What's it?
Montaditos.
Montaditos is another is more from the south of Spain, so they're like small sandwiches.
Ah,
Mm.
okay,
Some
so it's the
pinchos have
same
the
thing.
toothpick.
Okay. So
Some
I thought it's
pinchos-
because anything with a toothpick is a pincho, or not necessarily.
Not necessarily, because if you've been to San Sebastian and you've been and we've been,
Yeah.
you can ask for pinchos and they come in a plate. You know, like certain bars,
all
they don't
there.
serve them in toothpicks. So they give it to you in a plate, one piece of meat or whatever you want to order. So it's just basically the same. But of course, in Spain, in San Sebastian, they really push the pincho culture. So in order to attract a lot of tourists, so they put all the bread and you can see everything in the bar. But there's also pinchos in a plate. So it's almost
There you
the same
go.
thing.
Now you guys really you started a craze or a whole craze on pinchos because I mean, let's face it, when you guys opened up Bar Pintxos, there were already other Spanish restaurants, right? There are many of them, right? But what you guys did was elevate the whole pinchos thing to a different level. And then you have the other Spanish restaurants copying you.
Yeah, the copycats.
Yeah. When we opened Pintxos, in the beginning, we were not really confident. Like I wasn't really confident on the food. It was just new, so it was very safe. We opened. We had a menu with 12 items or 15. 8 were Pintxos, and the rest were some tapas. So it wasn't even to go there to have meals. It was really there to have a couple of tapas, no? And then as time went by and we got a bit more confident with the reviews, then we started upping our game with more elaborate Pintxos that we started doing later on.
Brilliant. And then the thing is, okay, now you have all these accolades, right? There's so many accolades, awards you've received. Tell us about that. I mean, when was the first award that you got? I mean, I'll never forget. I think we were even there, and it was a real surprise to you guys. Yeah? You like, what?
Yeah.
We won?
3 years
Yeah,
ago.
we didn't know. It was 3 years ago, Tatler's Top 20. They kept on emailing us, and this is a story. They kept on emailing me because for some reason they had my email. I think I was the one talking to them. You're invited to these cocktails, and I was telling, I don't really go to these things. I don't want to see all these people. So I didn't really want to go. And then she kept on insisting and insisting and insisting. And finally, we just said, let's go, man.
Yeah.
So Tinchu and I went, and we didn't know. We were there together with you, Mari. And like, what?
And then I see you,
Yeah, so-
all of a sudden, you guys were rushing to the stage. What's up, man? Ang award, man. I'm like, wow.
Actually,
and
I was just looking at Miguel. I'm like, are you sure they called us? Was that us? Are you sure? Because parang I couldn't believe it. I mean, you don't expect things like that to happen, right? I mean, especially
yeah, because we were there with Antonio's and all these top chefs, and I said, okay. I mean, the Antonio's, Colin was there of Blackbird and all these hotel restaurants, and then there we were, Bar Pintxos, and then that was really for Alabang. That was for the Alabang branch, the first one we won, right?
Right.
The second one was for our BGC branch, but it's really for our Alabang branch that they gave us that, no? So I think we've
yeah, you've had well, the thing is,
I think-
how many?
3.
I think we've had three, yeah.
Brilliant. And here's the thing, right? I mean, you're up against bars and restaurants that are in hotels that spend a mint on their fit out, that spend ridiculous amounts of money for their chef and all that. And yet you guys, you're like this in terms of budget and the whole thing. And you guys won, which I think is brilliant, right? I mean, anybody
Yeah,
can
when we opened Pintxos, we never really, we just wanted to make it comfortable. The design was never really part of the whole thing.
Right.
In fact, another funny story is we didn't even know the name. We didn't even know what we were going to call this place,
Yeah.
right? And that's when someone told me, if you don't know the name of the place you want to open, that's a good sign, because then that's the last thing you got to think about. Think about the concept, the food first, before the design. Because there are many people who build restaurants and they design it first and then they bring the food after, right? So this one, we had no design. It was just us painting and we had no name. So our partner, Koy, said, look, if you guys don't come up with a name by this weekend, I'm going to call it Manuel's or something. It's the name of her Lolo or something. So I said, no. So we had a short list. In fact, I still have the notebook. This is the notebook.
You gotta keep that,
5
man.
years ago. And in the first page, I had the names that we were thinking of. And now when I see them, I just laugh, right? But
Oh,
it was really, it
let's
was
go
really,
through them. Let's go
What?
through them.
No, you gotta tell. Okay, this is it. This is your chance. Tell us all the names that you
Chamba lang.
came across.
Chamba lang that this book is right here because I still have a
Mhm.
few pages left. So I've been
Okay.
writing on it, no?
Can you
Ideas.
mention a couple of names? I want the weirdest ones.
There's one. Well, there's Tapa Tapa. There's Tiki Taka. There's Brindis, Taperia. I mean, there's it's all here. If you see it, these are all the names we thought of. This is 5 years ago.
Mhm.
Wow.
So finally, it was Nachi Ugarte, a good friend of mine, who's a graphic designer, and said, "Dude, can you help me out?" Because he helped us with our Tierra logo. No, I said,
right.
"Can you help us out with the logo?" Then he goes, "Okay, so what's your name?" I go, "I don't know. You think of it, man." So he said, "Why don't you call it Bar Pintxos?" And I didn't like it in the beginning. I said, "No, dude, it's so generic." And then he kept on insisting. We were out in the beach for that weekend. He kept saying, "Bar Pintxos, dude, here's the design." And I said, "No, I don't like it." And he goes, "If you don't choose this, I'm not gonna make the design for you." So I said, "Okay,
Wow.
call it Bar Pintxos."
No, but
So that's
you
how
see,
the name came up.
You got a generic word and made it a brand, and that's brilliant, right?
Yeah.
Because right
Yeah.
now everybody knows what Pintxos are, right? They know,
Yeah,
right? So
It's very true.
it's you brought it to the map. That's what you did. It's brilliant.
You know what we did kasi is like Miguel will, I'll tell you how we were doing it before. Miguel will come, this is almost every day. Miguel would call me before we open in Alabang. And he'd say, "Tinch, you have to try this dish. I want you to introduce it tonight." I said, "Okay, what are the ingredients?" And it was just between Miguel and I. No other people. That's how it worked. What we try to do is to create an atmosphere and identity for people not to be too intimidated. A
Mhm.
lot of people, when they talk about Spanish cuisines like Donosti and everybody, they were like, "Ang mahal-mahal. Then why call yourself a tapas bar? A tapas bar is
Correct.
supposed to be reasonable." So that's why Miguel was always adamant about like, "But I don't want high prices." People, when we built our branch in Alabang, we wanted, and this is honest to goodness truth, we wanted people to go to a place who live close by and just really enjoy themselves with good tapas and good friends.
Right,
In
right.
Alabang, most of the time Alabang during the time, one table, the other, they would know each other.
Mhm.
Until the Makati people started coming, then from people from Pasig, people all the way from Quezon City. We had people come all the way from Baguio.
It's like the
Wow.
Cheers. You know that show Cheers, right? You
Yeah,
walk
everyone
in
knows everyone,
and
yes.
everybody knows their name, right? So it's like
But
cool,
this is
right?
another.
Yeah, that's usually the
another-
cuento. When I would go around to customers, it's more of like, I'm not there just to entertain. I'm here to tell you a story about this pincho that Miguel made.
Yeah.
When we try to talk to customers, I try to imagine explaining it like you're watching a cooking session with Miguel in Facebook right now.
Right.
Now you get enticed when you're watching him cook,
Oh yeah.
and that's
Brilliant.
exactly how you try to explain it to customers. But more importantly is when you see people come in pinchos, there's no hesitation on customers. You know what I mean? There's always that thing like, "Uy, parang mukhang mahal to eh. Wag na tayo pumasok."
Mhm.
Diba? There's always that thing.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
when that's why siguro the character, the atmosphere, and the identity of Pinchos, it became siguro successful because people could really see that these guys are not here to bullshit us or not just try to make money. They're here to really
Correct.
please us. They're here to
I
really
just
feed the
want to clarify.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify something because a lot of people say we're expensive, no?
Ah,
problem-
you said it, man. Not me. Well, John
I'm
Joe
gonna
said
explain.
it.
I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna explain you the story. I won't name names, but anyway, the problem with Pinchos, not really the problem, is when you go there to eat, and then you'll have a drink before eating, and then you'll eat, then you'll have wine, then at the end you'll stay a bit longer and you'll have your gin tonic or 2 or 3 or 4, right? So it's like you went to a restaurant and then you went to a bar after.
Bar.
So if you-
Yes.
So if you combine those two, that's how much you
That's-
spend in Pinchos.
Well
So
said.
it's-
I think
it-
now
it's
that
normally-
you understand that concept, it's
Yeah.
not just a restaurant, but it's a bar as well. So you
It's
can do
actually a tapas
all.
bar. So
Actually,
can-
you
you
start
can-
from pika pika. You start with your pika pika,
Yeah.
and then you go to your meal, and then your after dinner or
Yes.
after lunch or
after
whatever
dinner
drinks.
drink.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there was a group of friends who came and they were saying, this place is expensive. My bill was 15,000 and everything. Though I won't say who this was anymore. And it kind of was bothering me. So a few days after, I looked at the POS and I checked out the tape receipt
Yeah.
of what they spent. No, so they spent like 3,000 on food, and there were four, and the 9,000 were on drinks. So I said, okay,
Which they must drink
don't get the-
fish, pal. I think
During
I
that
think I
time
have
we had-
I think I know who it is.
during that time, because Pintxos also rode the several waves of the drink. So we started with beer. Then when
Gin
beer was
tonic.
kind of tapering off, we got into the Japanese whiskey.
Okay.
So
There you
I
go.
was again bringing in Japanese whiskey from Taiwan, and we were selling it there. So people would come and have their. So we were selling bottles of Yamazaki and all that.
By the way,
And of course, they
another
were not-
trivia. John Joe, do you know
Mhm.
this? If Jim Araneta was the one who got me introduced to craft beer, guess who got me introduced to craft gin? These guys.
Pintxos.
Well, Miguel Vecin, because Miguel Vecin brought it in from Spain, right? He
Yeah.
had it in his bar. They had it in their bar, and
Mm-hmm.
they made me try gin. Dude, I never had gin that tasted like that. My memory
Yeah,
of gin
yeah.
was the
Bulag.
high school. It was
Gin
bad.
bulag.
And it's
Gin
because
bulag.
of that. It was because of that I got the obsession to learn how to make it, and that's the start of the Philippine first craft gin. Because, dude, if it was not for you guys bringing in that gin and make me try some gin that I never tried before, there's no way I would have made it, right?
when we were in the US of Miguel, for work, no, we actually ordered a lot of craft gins that we saw. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's still one bottle of gin in Pintxos Alabang, batch number 1.
No way.
Yeah. I just saw it.
Wow.
St. George, I think it's
Wow.
St.
St.
George or something.
Yeah, St. George. There was a time Miguel and I were like, people really love the gin. And, I didn't even realize, one of our trips in Spain, Miguel took me to a gin bar. And there were over 2,000 bottles in one
That's
bar.
crazy. Crazy.
And there was the menu was like 2-3 pages. The list of the gin.
No. 20 pages, man. 20 pages.
Not the gin, but the food was only like 2 pages. But the gin was 20.
Mm.
And I'm
Okay.
like,
Pare,
yeah, go ahead.
we're running out of time, but I got something I want to do before we wrap up,
Okay,
right?
okay.
There you go.
And this segment is called This or That. So
Okay.
basically, I'm gonna show you 2 pictures. I'm gonna address each person, like Miguel, and then
I need to
Tinchu,
put my glasses
and
on.
Miguel. So it's a way of just getting to know you better. You remember,
Alright.
you have to choose one. You cannot say both. It has to be one, right? Okay. So here we go. So Miguel, this or that?
Me personally, even if people might think it's that, it's this.
What do you mean it's that?
How-
It's this?
How
No,
You gotta pick one, dude. This or that?
that's why.
this?
I know, but people are gonna think I'm gonna choose that.
That,
but I'm
yeah.
choosing this.
Oh, you're choosing this. So that's a fillet knife, right? Fillet.
The boning knife, you can
Okay.
fillet, you can cut, by the bone and
Okay, well, it says a lot about later on. There's a doctor actually. I talked to a psychologist, and there's an actual reason to this.
It's
Not just-
delicate.
okay.
It's delicate cuts, precision.
Delicate cuts,
Precision.
yes, precision.
Okay, now Tinchu.
Yeah.
This or that?
Oh,
Come
I'll
on, Tinch.
I'll go for this.
You go for Zorro.
Yeah.
What I was
Zorro.
expecting, Saul was expecting something else, man. Now, okay, this is a real eye opener. Okay, Zorro School, man. Check him out with his bigotin, right? Okay, Miguel, back to you. This or that?
This is really easy. That.
Mhm.
Really?
I mean, I lived in Spain and I grew up drinking cafe solo. So up to now, that's the only thing I drink. I mean, if I go to Starbucks, I'm the most boring guy because I only have an espresso. I don't have anything else.
Wow, interesting. So no cafe con leche, no cappuccino,
Coffee
just
con leche.
espresso.
Nada,
Okay.
nada.
Okay, Tinchu,
Go.
or that.
Uy! I know what Tinchu's gonna choose.
No,
I have a feeling I already know.
no brainer. Peaky Blinders all the way, baby. Peaky Blinders, man.
You know, if you know Tinchu, you know that what he wears, but he
Peaky
belongs in that
He's been-
show.
Easy.
He's been raving about this show for the past, and I have to admit, I've never watched it.
I love
But
the
he's been
show, but
raving
It's
about
really
this
good.
show.
It's
But
really
for me
good.
personally, I'm going for this. It's just me, right? This is
Yeah.
me. Okay. Miguel, this or that? Choose wisely.
Oh, that's kind of hard, huh? That's kind of hard. But I'm gonna choose that, okay? Because
Really?
those are cantipalitos,
Mhm.
and there's a story why I prefer this to that. But I don't know if I have time to say it. or
Ah,
not,
but
Why?
yeah.
why? Because when I was living in Spain and I would party, go out at night till 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, come home drunk, my mom would always prepare chorizo rice with me, made with cantipalitos. And she would leave it in the frying pan, and then I would just eat it and pass out, in the kitchen.
Well, I can tell you right now, if I ask John Joe, I know what he's gonna freaking pick, man.
Which
The
one?
one with the sile right there,
Yeah.
with the sile.
And
he
you
won't,
can-
he won't
you can-
even eat. He won't even eat the fucking
Chorizo.
puta chorizo. He'll go for the fucking chili right
Sile.
there.
Yeah, but with this you can cook. You can also cook different meals, no? If I was looking at it at the cooking's point of view, chef's point of view, there's more you could do with this than that. Am I wrong?
Yes, there's a lot more stuff you can do with this, like many, many dishes. But for me, that, because it's a bit more, reminds me of when I was younger.
Okay, for the two of you, the next one, choose this or that.
Oh,
Yes.
Mariosa.
That all the way. You can scratch that this does not exist. Green.
Of course, you guys would choose that. My God,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
had to put it out there. A lot of people don't know. A lot of people don't know that you're Barca boys and I'm a Real Madrid. But you guys are really good friends of mine, man. Love you guys.
Well,
Hey,
I lived in Barcelona for 20 plus years, so I think it's normal. I'm pro Barca, no?
For sure, for sure. Okay, one last thing I have to ask everyone here in this call. Okay, we're gonna do what you call the Zoom reveal.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Don't tell them
Everyone's
to
gonna
reveal their
stand
shirts,
up.
pal.
Everyone's gonna stand up. Woo!
What the?
Yeah, no.
I can't.
Lakers. Kobe.
That's the way,
Short.
man. That's the way.
Basketball shorts.
Mine has ducks.
Pants are always optional.
Puta, I thought John Joe had a
The-
thong, pare. I know this guy has thongs.
I've been watching a lot of
I
basketball.
missed it, pare. One of those nights where he's not wearing his thong, pare. Sayang. Anyway, guys, you guys are great. I think we're gonna need another show because
I think this is really fun, huh? This is really
Oh,
fun.
Enjoy.
it's the best, dude.
I
It's
really
the best.
enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this, man.
Well, till
Really
the,
appreciate the invite, guys.
and we're gonna put all your links in the description, all the locations, and of course, I know you've been doing a lot online. You've got Txoko, you've got Bar Pintxos, so there's so much going on, even in Cebu, and the sangria, that's gonna rock, right? I mean, it's selling like crazy. So
We're
till
just
the
doing
next
stuff.
one. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Migs. I mean, go
No,
ahead.
we're just doing.
Yeah.
The last thing is all these things we're doing is just trying to make us survive during this whole thing. So we're trying to rack our brains and think of whatever we can do.
As everyone else in this country and the world. Mind you, you're not alone. We're all in this together. So I think if this is the new freaking norm, let's do it, right? Pinch, you have any other final words?
No, I'd just like to thank Pai for inviting us, and we also want to thank you for giving us a chance to get out there promoting our sangria. We really appreciate it. Thanks, guys, for everything.
Hey, thank you guys. Until the next. Cheers, buddy.
All right.
Cheers.